Ever glance into a dark alley and suddenly feel like you're being evaluated by some invisible cryptid with a clipboard? Congrats, your brain just started writing a horror novel, and you're the main character. That creepy sensation of being watched, even when you're very obviously alone, comes from a delightful evolutionary glitch. Your brain absolutely cannot deal with incomplete information. The human brain is basically a drama queen with a vivid imagination and zero chill. When your senses don't give it a full story, like when it's dark or quiet, or you're alone in a room that feels a little too still, it fills in the gaps with guesswork. And by guesswork, we mean panic fan fiction. That shadow in the corner could be your jacket. Or a raccoon. Or a serial killer named Greg. Your brain doesn't know, but it votes for Greg, just in case. This phenomenon is partly thanks to the hyperactive agency detection system. A fancy term for your brain's habit of assuming someone, or something, is causing what you sense. It evolved to keep you alive in ancient times, when rustling bushes were either the wind, or a saber-toothed tiger with bad intentions. Basically, your brain would rather embarrass you with paranoia than let you walk into a fatal surprise party. So next time you feel watched while brushing your teeth alone at night, yeah, that's just your brain auditioning for a horror film you didn't sign up for. There's a reason you see faces in your laundry pile or mistake that wall stain for a man silently judging your life choices. It's called Pareidolia, and it's your brain's way of turning nonsense into meaning, especially when it comes to faces. Because apparently, your brain is a little too face-obsessed. Like, it's constantly scanning for them. Always. Even when there are none. It's kind of flattering, actually. Your brain loves faces so much it starts hallucinating them like a sleep-deprived art student in a Rorschach test. Pareidolia happens in the fusiform face area, the part of your brain dedicated to recognizing faces. It doesn't care if it's an actual human or a mildly disappointed-looking piece of toast, it sees a face, and it reacts like, "Oh God, who is this?" And once it spots a face, your brain casually decides that face probably has eyes, and if it has eyes, well, it's probably watching you. Even if it's literally a crooked paint splatter from 1993. So yes, that creepy vibe in an empty room might be brought to you by a coat hanger that looks a little too sentient. Your brain's doing its best, it just has trust issues and way too much imagination. No, not the, "I see dead people," kind. This is more like, "I feel vaguely uncomfortable and can't explain why, so now I'm spiraling." Welcome to your subconscious social radar, aka the part of your nervous system that was built for tribal life but now spends its time freaking out over weird vibes in a Target parking lot. Even when you're alone, your mirror neurons, the empathy sponges in your brain, can trigger emotional responses based on imagined scenarios. Your brain runs simulations constantly, like, what if someone was watching me right now? And then it makes you feel watched, just to stay on brand. It's not just spooky vibes either. Evolution baked this in so you'd survive in groups. You had to be aware of when someone was staring at you, usually because they were mad, hungry, or deciding whether to club you over the head and take your mammoth meat. These instincts still fire up, even when all you're doing is walking through an empty hallway that feels judgmental. So if you've ever said, "I feel like someone's watching me," and then turned around to find nobody, congratulations, you've just been ghosted by your own nervous system. Here's a fun experiment: sit in a room with a one-way mirror, and even if you know no one is behind it, part of you still acts like you're on camera. Why? Because humans have a deep-rooted thing about eyes. Studies have shown that just a picture of eyes can change behavior. People are more honest, more generous, and way more likely to clean up after themselves if a pair of eyes, even cartoon ones, are watching. Or seem like they are. It's called the IQ effect, and your brain treats it like an invisible bouncer. Even if those eyes are fake, your ancient lizard brain doesn't want to get caught picking its nose or stealing the last slice of cake. Now imagine you're totally alone, but your brain suddenly gets that being watched vibe. It might not be because anyone's there. It's just those mental eyes, the ones in your memory, your shame center, your overactive guilt gland, lighting up like, hey, maybe stop dancing like that. Someone could be watching. So yeah, you may have outgrown monsters under the bed, but your brain still believes in the judgmental observer fairy. Because nothing says, evolved species, like spiraling into anxiety because a coffee mug looked at you weird. Let's be clear, your brain is not chill. It's a paranoid overachiever with a built-in alarm system that never fully shuts off. Even in your safest moments, doors locked, lights on, cat snoring nearby, your brain still whispers, okay, but what if there's a ninja ghost behind the couch? This is thanks to your amygdala, the tiny almond-shaped structure in your brain that basically handles emotional panic. It doesn't care about logic. Its job is simple: detect threat, scream internally. And the worst part? The amygdala doesn't need evidence. It just needs vibes. That creaky floorboard could be your house settling. Or the wind. Or, obviously, someone plotting your demise. You know, classic Wednesday stuff. Even if you rationally know you're alone, the amygdala doesn't wait for confirmation. It runs on the principle of, better safe than horribly murdered. And so you get that creeping feeling, like something's wrong, even when nothing is. Think of it as a smoke detector that goes off when you toast bread slightly too enthusiastically. Overreacting? Yes. But technically still, doing its job. So if you ever feel like you're being watched while microwaving leftovers at 2 a.m., it's not because you're being haunted. It's because your brain thinks silence plus shadows plus slight hunger equals emergency. Thanks, evolution. You'd think silence would be peaceful. Tranquil. Serene. Wrong. To your brain, silence is just suspicious. In nature, silence meant the birds stopped chirping. Which meant a predator was nearby. Which meant you might be lunch. So today, when you're alone and everything's too quiet, your brain reverts to caveman mode and goes, hey, where are the danger sounds? No danger sounds? Then you must be the danger target. Or worse, maybe the danger is sneaking up on you right now. This is why you start hearing weird stuff in total silence. A creak upstairs becomes a full-blown intruder. Your refrigerator hum turns into the soundtrack of doom. Even your own heartbeat feels like it's got a hidden agenda. It's also why some people sleep with white noise, a fan, or a podcast about murderers, ironically, to avoid feeling like they're about to be murdered. So when your brain decides silence equals doom, just remember, it's operating with caveman software on modern hardware. And that upgrade isn't coming anytime soon. Your imagination has one job: to create random nonsense that makes you feel mildly unsafe for no reason. You could be sitting alone, minding your business, when bam, your brain decides to simulate a worst-case scenario just for fun. What if someone was behind you right now? What if you turned around, and saw nothing, but then the mirror behind you blinked? Like, why? Who asked for this? Turns out, this isn't just anxiety. It's a side effect of a mental tool called prospection, your ability to imagine the future. Humans evolved it to anticipate danger, plan ahead, and avoid dumb mistakes. But when you're not actively problem-solving, that ability turns into creative dread. Basically, your brain plays horror movie trailers in your head, just in case. Because hey, if it can imagine a serial killer clown in the closet, maybe it can help you survive the statistically unlikely event of a serial killer clown in the closet. So next time your imagination shows you a terrifying what if, feel free to yell, cool story, brain. Not helpful. It won't stop it, but it might make the clown go away. Probably. Even when you're physically alone, you can feel socially watched. Like, you'll mess up a sentence while practicing a presentation, to yourself, and still go, wow, that was stupid. Who are you performing for? God? The lamp? That's your internalized audience, a psychological trick where your brain assumes someone is always evaluating your behavior, even when no one is around. This evolved because, historically, being rejected by your tribe was pretty much a death sentence. So your brain developed a kind of permanent inner stage where it imagines every move might be judged. You're not paranoid. You're just a former caveman trying to impress an imaginary crowd that lives in your skull. This is also why embarrassment hurts so much, because deep down, your brain still thinks public shame equals exile equals time to freeze alone in the woods. So when you trip in your kitchen and immediately look around like someone might have seen that, don't worry. It's not weird. It's just 200,000 years of social survival instincts kicking in. You're doing fine. And no, the plant in the corner didn't notice. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more content like this. Got thoughts or questions? Drop them in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.